What's up? Welcome. The time has come to talk about the best albums of the year. The public has spoken HXC Awards, but I haven't expressed my opinion quite yet, so I thought I would do so in this video. Last year I did a top 22 albums of 2022, so it only makes sense that this year we do a top 23. So sit back, relax, grab some snacks. I'm gonna go through 23 of my favorite albums of the year. Disclaimer, this is just my opinion. The end of the disclaimer. Suffer in Heaven by Chelsea Grin. This is kind of a wrap-up of the duology of Suffer in Heaven, Suffer in Hell. And this is a strong death metal / traditional deathcore feeling album from Chelsea Grin. Lots of violent breakdowns, lots of violent riffs. Not much else to say. It's just, it's very disgusting. The Surface by Beartooth. I did not expect to like this album. I still have some gripes with the production overall, but the style of it, the sound of it, the music of it, the contents of it is all incredible. I was shocked by how much I loved this album when I first listened to it. Caleb is a fucking monster of vocals. So yeah, no surprise. This is one of my favorite albums this year.
Remember every time you it makes me stronger than before.
Half Me, Soma. Solid album. Haven't listened to it as much as I thought I would since the beginning, but I still really liked it. The elements of metalcore and hardcore with incredible breakdowns and some good features like, for example, Marcus from Throne. I think this album is super solid and you should definitely check it out. Currents, The Death We Seek. I'll be honest, I expected something different from this album. Not to say that it's bad or worse than I expected, but it's just not quite what I thought it was going to be. I struggled to come back to it after my first listen, but I do still think this album has a lot going for it, especially those incredible choruses and breakdowns. It is a super fun listen with some real emotional weight to it. Periphery, Gent is not a genre. Emotional, funny, heavy, jazzy. This is a journey through minds of some of the most talented musicians in our metal / metalcore space. A true Gent theater piece, I would call this album. Even though I haven't liked it as much as I did Hailstand, I still think this is a phenomenal album. The Seventh Son by Bury Tomorrow. Pleasant surprise from the band, especially after a big departure of their singer last year, and I thought that the new singer fills in the shoes super well. He adds his new coat of paint, fresh coat of paint on Bury Tomorrow's huge choruses, and I think overall the instrumentation coupled with Daniel Winterbait's screams is just really good. Really good album. Fatalism by Polaris.
Doesn't that sound sadistic?
An excellent follow-up to The Death of Me, even if I didn't like it as much as I liked that album. This does pack a huge, heavy emotional punch to it, and I really appreciate what they've done with some experimentation on it. I think it's a very interesting step in a different direction for Polaris, and I quite enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought I would. But still, it's a very good album.
But no one's gonna save us.
A Bance by Alt.
I'm choking on the air again.
Unique production, unique vocals, unique style as a whole. This features Jack from Void of Vision, bonus points, and has a great deal of variance and contrast throughout the album, which helps keep it very interesting to listen to. It gets heavy, it gets softer, but it always stays fun. Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token. I know, calm down. I learned to love Sleep Token for a unique yet tasteful blend of pop and gent, visceral emotion, and intricate production. But I'm sorry, this album kind of missed the mark for me. It has amazing songs on it, which put this album higher than many others, but it also has some songs that absolutely did nothing to me, which never happened before with Sleep Token. But still, this album was quite enjoyable. A Noble Art of Self-Destruction by Holding Absence. One of the most soulful works this year. The emotional weight of this album carried through its lyrical content is definitely one of the strongest suits of it, aside from the obvious great vocals and super nice melodic post-hardcore instrumental. I love how each song flows into each other. It feels like the whole album has a common thread going through each one of these songs, which, you know, connects in a singular style. The closer of this album is especially great when it comes to that emotional punch, and it may not be an album I come back to a lot, but every time I do, I'm reminded of how great this one truly is. Holding Absence. Ashen by Humanity's Last Breath. Heaviest album on earth, hands down. It's incredibly thoughtful and punchy Thal journey with some of the most head-shattering instrumentation, truly pushing Thal into a more extreme yet consumable direction. I really enjoyed this album. It was everything I ever expected from Humanities, and it was very good. It was very good. Mother by Veil of Mayo. This one was worth the wait. We've waited for so long for this album and it's finally here and it is incredible. It's crazy, it's wacky, it's smart, it's tasty. The vocals are out of this world as usual, and the riffs and production overall are as well out of this world. The best way to describe this album is call it a tasteful chaos.
Are you happy now?
Tether by Of Mice and Men.
Walking into the sun.
This one's a sleeper. I think a lot of people overlooked this. A lot of people didn't check this one out this year. Many of you probably don't even know it came out this year. But in my opinion, it's an incredibly strong continuation of what Of Mice and Men built on the previous album Echo, with a fresh take on the heavy melodic balance that a lot of the bands try out nowadays. I think where this album succeeds the most is these massive spaces of like heavy instrumental with chugs and breakdowns, and then pretty light and melodic vocals over the top. It creates this weird contrast that kind of drags on throughout the whole album. In my opinion, it's the strongest part of it, and that's why this album is so high up my list. I actually really loved it. And Everything in Between by Unprocessed. Late entry this year. I did not expect this one to be as impactful as it was, but this is truly one of my favorite albums of the year. Huge twist for them to go back into a more heavy djenty direction compared to the last album Gold, and it's definitely, in my opinion, the best djent album of the year. The uniqueness, the vocals, the style overall of the production elevates this album really high. Love me some Unprocessed. A Mind Waiting to Die by Graphic Nature. Deep multi-layered experience with unexpected twists around every corner, with D&B breakbeat techno mixed into this beautiful hardcore metalcore sound. No matter how many times you listen to this album, you'll find something new each time. Graphic Nature is amazing. Symptoms of Survival by Dying Wish. This is an album for those who don't have enough holes punched into their walls. Pure, raw hardcore with revival undertones that work super well. It sent me back to the old Parkway Drive sound, which I cannot thank it enough. This is a great album. Athena, Subway Anthem. My first album by this band, which completely blew me away. Melodic when it needs to be, heavy where it needs to be, and experimental where it needs to be. It's blurring the lines between some of the things that I've already heard and haven't heard in the genre before, and it has such an incredible taste to it, with production, with style, with the overall sound. I really enjoyed this one. This is one of the most varied albums of the year, and you should definitely listen to some Athena.
Spring will come.
So Unknown by Jesus Piece. Hardcore staple this year. Ridiculously heavy with an incredible sense of direction and a perfect amount of urgency to never bore you at all. Seriously, this album has zero filler. This is a peak hardcore experience this year. This would make you want to throw down in the pit like you've never done before, or sit it out if you're a US citizen and don't have a public funded healthcare. Human by Resolve. Resolve is back with some new music for us this year with the album Human. It was hard to follow up their last album because it was such a strong debut album, but they did not disappoint. I think what really worked here is they did not try to overdo or, topple the previous album with the same thing but bigger, brighter. They tried to do something different. They tried to include a bit more broader variety genres and styles into their music, which worked super well. Some of the best vocals of the year, some of the best emotional punch of the year, and unexpectedly some really heavy parts, which were really cool too. Moments Elsewhere by Johnny Booth. Wow, what an experience this album was. Personally, my favorite work this year vocally. I think the vocals is a huge standout here. But instrumentals are also quite detailed and intricate that provide this beautiful undertone for the vocals. Altogether, it crafts into this really individual sound by Johnny Booth. No band sounds like this album, and I love it. If you haven't heard this one, check it out. These guys are awesome. Super Bloom by Salam Planet. The band that will always have a special place in my heart delivered an album that earned a very special place in my soul. Fresh, new, different direction for Salam Planet. Something that is always scary, but I think paid off extremely well in this one. It's new, but it stays being recognizable individual self for Salam Planet that doesn't really sound like other bands, in my opinion. It packs plenty of emotion and, more importantly, direction. The reason this album is maybe not as high as some of you expected it to be in my list is because it just came out very late in the year and I haven't had enough time to savor on it. So my number 3 is Salam Planet. More Power, More Pain by Gideon. This one was an instant love for me. The ridiculous heaviness coupled with some melodic things unexpectedly, which the band has never really done before properly, and they did it really properly on this one. It delivers one of the most complete and all-around perfect sounding hardcore albums of the year, but it wouldn't be fair to encapsulate this album into just strictly hardcore. There's so many elements to it that make it so much more elevated and spanning a couple of genres. I really love what they've done here on this. This was such an unexpectedly amazing album for me, and I really love it. But there was another album I loved even more. Super good. Number 1, Heavener by Invent Animate. I was sitting here thinking about my list, and one universal thought that I came to is there's just simply no other contender for number 1 spot this year for me. I know it's been very easy to predict. My current favorite in AOTY 2023 is, drumroll please, Invent Animate. I think Heavener will take my album of the year spot. Why? Because Shade Astray, because Elysium, and the new track Emulation of Night, very, very difficult name to pronounce. I've pretty much spoiled this very early on in the year that this is going to be my album of the year. And it just so happens that no other album came out this year that was able to topple this one for me. No other work this year touched my mind and heart in the same way this album did. No other work made me feel both sad and happy and melancholic and joyous as much as this album did. It's truly a metalcore triumph in every way of that expression. It's a perfect declaration of individuality for Invent Animate because this is their sound now. Absolutely nothing about this album is overrated. I will die on this hill. There's nothing overrated about this album. If anything, it's underrated for how good it is. Everything on this album is polished to its perfect shine. The intense riffage, some of the most spacious, huge breakdowns. Instrumentals are mind-blowingly detailed. Some of those breakdowns make you want to break something, others make me want to cry my eyes out. Marcus Vick on the vocals delivers a performance of his life so far with variance and emotions simply off the charts. Alright, I'm done simping for this album. I know I spoke a lot, but this is just the easiest 10 out of 10 I've ever given to an album. It's a triumph. It's a triumph. Heavener by Invent Animate. Well, that's it. That's my 23 albums of 2023. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my list, if you have shared opinions on some of these albums, and drop your lists down in the comments. I would love to see what some of your favorite albums of the year are. I feel like a lot of us share our albums of the year, but I would be interested to see if you decided to pick a different album for your best pick. Because it's always fun to see other people's opinions, so bring it on. Otherwise, I'll let you go. Go celebrate, go have some time off, whatever it is. The new year is coming soon, and I hope you have a great new 2024. Appreciate you sticking with the channel, appreciate you watching this far. Subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, but I'll see you in the next one.